And hello. It is me. It's me, that D-O-double-G. And I'm here. I like to smile, and you can smile. Every smile for the man who held your hand beneath the pale moonlight. But don't forget who's taking you home and in whose arms you're going to be. So, Samuel, save that last dance for me.
Oh, good day, mate. Good day, mate. That's Australian for how you doing. Lovely to see you. What an introduction. You are the man of intros. It's good to see you.
Well, you know, the music's fine, like sparkling wine. So go and have your fun. And if you don't know what song that is from, then just what is going on with your life. You've got to sort that out. But it is me. I'm here. I'm dancing with Sam, and this isn't just a two-way dance. We're having a tricycle dance because there's three of us. It's Charlotte, everybody.
Hello. How are we all?
Oh, how are you today, Charlotte?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Just struggling with the hay fever again, but I'm good. How are you both?
Same struggles, yeah. I look like I've been crying today. My eyes are, and it's not to do with the treble. It's hay fever, honestly.
God damn you, pollen! Just the things that are required for the existence of this planet. The sacrifices you have to make. But I salute you both for taking it off the chin, on the nose, and in the eyes. And there's Chris in the chat. Hello, Chris. Thank you for being here. We're saved. So if anybody says anything wrong or we're not sure of any answers, Chris is there. Don't you worry. He'll be there to save us. But we're at the end of the season. How was your season review? Did you enjoy your season review, guys?
It was good, wasn't it? It flew by. I think we did a good 2 hours. We forgot there were 20 teams, and there's quite a lot to talk about the whole season. But yeah, I loved it.
It was really good.
Marvelous. I've been training on my new job, so I didn't catch much of it. I've been trying to find what people said about Liverpool, but I don't want to skip.
You don't want to know. You don't want to know.
I think we were fair and balanced as always.
Charlotte was there. Sam would have been. And Simon's in the chat as well. Simon, thank you for joining us and for everybody coming. But yes, so the season is over. And I think all of the games of club football have now been played in Europe. I don't know about America and all of that jazz, but it was the big one on Saturday that, well, I don't know who. Some people were happy, some people were sad. Somebody who would have had difficult feelings and emotions would have been you, Sam. How did that game make you feel?
Sloppy seconds, wasn't it? Doesn't really, wasn't that the term that was going around yesterday? No, I mean, I don't know. I think I'd come to terms with it. I think I never really fancied that there was going to be the upset in the final, so I think I just kind of just went with it. I think the fact it was 0-0 at half time gave a little bit of hope, and then they brought Lukaku on, and all hope ended. So game over from that point on. Yeah, it was going to happen. It was going to happen. They did the business, didn't they? They did the business. They got over the line. They're having a wonderful bus parade at the moment, and yeah. It's more people stood outside the post office by the looks of it, but it's wonderful for Man City fans.
If it makes you feel better, Sam, it's starting to thunder and lightning. Because obviously I'm close, so it's starting, the rain's coming and it's starting to thunder and lightning. So
yeah, that'll teach you open top bus, won't it? Hope you bought your brollies.
I'll have that Greenish. But I mean, before we get into the game, just your feelings, Shah. What were your feelings about that game?
I kind of knew it was going to happen, but as I was watching the game, I thought, do you know what? Inter could do it. But then when they brought Lukaku on, I thought, no, it's not happening. He was Manchester City's best defender, Lukaku. It was honestly terrible. And he gives me hope that I could play professional football one day. It really does.
There's a career ahead of Charlotte there.
There is.
There is. I mean, Chris in the chat, he watched it, but he hated it. And if only Inter had a decent striker. Although I will say, they have a decent striker, but he's a head case in Martinez. He's just a crazy man. But I mean, I have a take on the game, which I'm. Do you want to go with my controversial take first of all, or should we have some proper analysis from you guys on the game? Which way do you want to play this?
Chuck in the controversy.
Yeah, go on.
No. I mean, before Heather said Grealish looked soaked, but not sure if it was rain or champagne. It was champagne.
Champagne, guaranteed.
You don't need to dispute that. But my take on it was, I watched snippets of the game. It was poo. It was really boring. I think, and I put this out on Twitter, some people liked it, some people didn't. I think that Man City won that game in spite of Pep Guardiola, not because of Pep Guardiola. Not the Champions League in total. That specific game, I think they won it in spite of him rather than because of him. Before I get into it, what do you think, Sam? Do you think that is mental? Or?
I think there's some... I can see some truth probably in what you're about to say, and probably a bit of mix of both, I think. I mean, in previous cases, I can see that being the case. Did they dominate things the way we thought they'd dominate that final? No. Did they dominate the FA Cup final the way we thought they'd? No. But they did get the job done. So, yeah. I'll leave the full controversial opinion to you before I make too much comment.
Yeah, I mean, Chris said it upset some people. I mean, I think you've got to look at it in context. The Champions League in total, I think, yeah, he did a good job in getting there. It's a difficult one. I get the point that people make that Man City should always be there. Man City should always be there. Let's call a spade a spade. They are the best team in Europe, probably the world. I don't think there's a team in the world anywhere that can match them man for man throughout the whole team. But what I noticed, so the way the lineup was similar in regard to the other games. However, the way that he had them playing was slightly different. So the style was slightly different. He tried to push and press a little bit differently to the way Man City normally do in most games, which is a pet thing. He likes to sort of mix it up. Let's leave Walker on the bench. Let's not play him. Let's play Nathan Ake. Let's take a chance and mix it up a little bit. I think there was a lot of nervousness in there. And I don't know if you noticed, Pep was very nervous as well. I think they were all very nervous. Haaland, before the game, was giving it all. Yeah, this is why I was here. I've been brought here to win the Champions League. Was he there? I didn't quite know what his plan was. But Inter, they played really well against them tactically. Yeah. It was Inter's game, wasn't it? And then Pep tried to make changes at half time, and it got even worse. And they Inter should have scored a couple. And I think, as you both alluded to, if Lukaku could score, if he could shoot on target, and Edison had a wonder save as well. They could have conceded more than once. And Pep doesn't have a plan B. He doesn't know how to do plan B. But what happened is the things that will always happen with good teams is they just persevered and started playing themselves, doing what they wanted to do, and they scored the typical Man City goal of a pullback. And it was like, I used to think that this was a Frank Lampard goal, where you pull it back, the ball bounces around accidentally off someone, and Lampard is just lash it in from anywhere. That's the goal they scored. I didn't think that was all Pep's doing. I think the Man City players won that game. I think the players won that game. And there was a lot of nervousness, a lot of anticipation. They played like a team in their first big final. They had to play it. And I thought by the end, it was the players. It was the players that did it. I thought Pep got the tactics wrong. He made the changes. He got that wrong and nearly cost them the game. And if it wasn't for Inter, Martinez should have scored. He should have crossed the ball across the box. I think in the first half, I think it was. If he had squared it, that would have been a goal. But he's mental, and he's like, "No, this is all me," and tried to lash it in. And Lukaku just couldn't do it. And as Chris said, good teams find a way, and that's what they did. I think any of us could have managed Man City in that final. Because what confused me is I said my tweet before the game, and I'll stop talking in a minute. My tweet before the game was they should smash them. Man City is so much better than Inter. They should have smashed the living balls out of them. 4-1, 5-1. I wouldn't have thought it'd go beyond 5 because Pep's got too much respect for the teams to do that. But they should have won that 5-0, but they played differently to all the other games, and that's Pep. That's Pep getting them to play differently, and it nearly cost them. I don't think he's the man. He's not a cup competition man. I think he's a league man. Best coach, probably ever. Coach. As a football manager, I still think he is lacking, personally. How do you like them apples? What do you think, Shah?
Will you get off the fence? I've told you before, Josh. You need to say what you feel. Say what you feel.
No. the game as a whole, I thought was very, very sloppy. I thought both of the teams, the passing was dreadful. Like from both teams, I thought they were very nervous, both teams. I thought for Inter Milan, I thought DeMarco was absolutely excellent. I think he was possibly one of their best players on the pitch. I think he had a really good game. But yeah, I don't think the Kevin De Bruyne injury obviously helped.
Yeah,
That was
a big
massive.
loss, isn't it?
A big loss, yeah. Haaland just wasn't in the game. It just seemed, even just some of the things he was doing, and he got himself booked, and just some of the decisions he was making, I don't think he was fully in the game. And yeah, I just think both sides, you could tell they were really nervous. And they're obviously shattered as well, because there's been a World Cup in between. Obviously, Manchester City, they've had these finals, so you could kind of see the tired legs and stuff. But yeah, Pep again does what Pep does. The thing what's bugging me though at the minute is the fact they're like, oh, this is the best team that we've ever seen. It's not even the best Pep Guardiola team, I don't think. I think the Barcelona one was miles ahead of it, and it really annoys me because that's all I've seen on Twitter at the minute.
It's not even his best Man City season in regards to win percentages and games won. So yeah, I get that, and I struggle with comparisons. That's my big thing. That's why I can never rate Pep as the best ever, because the comparison is really difficult to make. Where people comparing Alex Ferguson and what he did at United to what Pep's done at City, Ferguson was there for a lifetime. You know, like somebody's adult lifetime. That is how long he was at Manchester United, and went through different stages, different phases of the Premier League, different players he had to bring in. Times where spending was difficult, times where he had Arsenal was a big competitor, then Chelsea with all of their money was a big competitor, and sort of Liverpool always so they went through a lot of different changes. And what he did at Aberdeen, people forget what Ferguson did at Aberdeen, whereas Guardiola's been at Barcelona, where he had Carlos Puyol, Samuel Eto'o, Ibrahimovic, Iniesta, Messi,
Xavi,
Busquets. Yeah. That isn't a hard team to manage. He went to Bayern Munich, who had just won a treble, and he actually did worse than the previous manager. And he regressed the team, and he just did what Bayern Munich has always done. And he's come to Man City and done.
Yeah, like
this.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. What he's done is obviously wonderful, and he's won the treble. But I feel like with the Manchester United one, you can't top that, because he did it with academy players as well. And don't get me wrong, there were players in there, great players, but they did it with these academy players. And I just feel like with Manchester City, they have done brilliant, but they have got all this money.
Yeah, it's
a hard one, because I do want to give them credit, but at the same time, I think to myself, if we had money, we'd probably win it.
Yeah, and that's it. If because this is a big discussion I had with somebody yesterday that failed to understand the point I was making. They're an amazing team. They are an amazing team. He's a quality coach. However, it is what it is. They've spent loads of money. They're paying people crazy amounts of money. I mean, I don't know if you're listening to Talk Sport today, but they did a section on, how is it that BT did Sport had 5 hours of coverage, didn't mention the 115 charges against Man City once at any point. They never mentioned it, and it's there. You can't deny it, and it's
exactly.
I think I don't think I do myself any favors. I think I'm that hard probably on slamming Pep consistently that people don't see. I am saying they're good. I'm acknowledging Man City are awesome. They're really, really good. And I would probably, they're the best team in the world at the moment. And I would probably say they're probably one of the top 3 or 4 teams ever. I think personally, I can't think of many better whole teams. Everything, all the players, all the managers than that. But like you said, Sharp, you're spending loads of money. If you give that money to anybody, they'll do really well.
Apart from Chelsea. Sorry, I had to get that in.
But they've done well previously with the right season. Yeah, and I think genuinely, and this will sound like I'm being biased, but for me, that the sort of exception that proves the rule in big club football is Liverpool to a large extent, because we've never had a massive budget. We don't have massive spends. However, we're consistently up there, and we've won the Champions League twice in the last 20 years. We've been in 4 or 5 finals. I think consistently doing that. I think we're the only team that have been consistently at that level over the last sort of 2 decades, and that hasn't spent big. And it shows. It just shows. Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, even PSG recently, Man City, all the teams that they're consistently, even United spend an awful lot of money, Sam,
They don't spend it very well. That's why we spent so much. We have to spend it again. If you buy a rubbish pair of trainers, you have to buy another one 6 months later. That's our problem.
Yeah, but it's difficult. I don't want to take anything away from Man City because it sounds like I am, and I'm not. I've said they played really well, but I think perspective's required. But Sam, make everybody happy and say something positive because I imagine someone wanted to slam my head against the wall or something.
Positive. I mean, yeah, you can't ignore the money side of things, of course, because it is huge. The way they're playing as a team, the way those players, and I think probably the point you make about Pep getting it wrong in the final, probably some of it right, but I think the same point as well is that the players that he's generated, there's so many leaders in that pitch, so many leaders.
Yeah, that's true.
Such a team spirit that they work it out kind of themselves.
Yeah.
And you imagine, you get the sense that there's that kind of two-way a little bit with Pep, that the players are pushing, saying, what about this? And I saw an interview he did with Fernandinho a little while ago, and he was talking to him about wanting his players to become future managers and kind of setting that within them. So I think there's a certain element. They took charge of the game a bit, and I saw it the same in the FA Cup final, because I thought the FA Cup final, they were leggy for the last 20. When United went 2-1 down, I thought we're done, because they're just going to pass us to death, and they didn't, and we almost nicked a scrappy equaliser despite not deserving it. And I think they just got so many. John Stones, case in point, him stepping in. He had more dribbles, I think, than Messi had in the Champions League final. Some crazy stat.
Yeah, there were some wild stats, wasn't there?
Wild stats. And they just got players like that. As you said, De Bruyne has been playing with almost a hamstring injury for two months. But we're not surprised, because I think we all looked at last season. We finished last season, and then they went and bought Haaland, and we went, well, that's that then. And then here we are at the end of the season. And that has been that. They've cleared everything up, apart from the most important trophy, which, of course, was the EFL Cup trophy, which they didn't win. So that's the one that they've rewarded. And the Community Shield, Arsenal fans, if we're going to get picky as well. But, yeah, it's a phenomenal team. They've got phenomenal players. Pep is a phenomenal coach. There's no doubt about it. As you said, I find the comparisons hard as well, particularly from the United standpoint, because you try and be objective, but there's 2 different phases and times of football. The Champions League was different then as well.
Yeah.
The league was different. The type
Italian
of
teams were massive
different.
then, weren't they?
Juventus were big. Bayern Munich were bigger. We played Barcelona and Bayern Munich in the group stage. You're never going to get that now as a top side.
I mean, you look at AC Milan. That AC Milan side in 2005. Which was like Gattuso, Kaká, Shevchenko, Maldini, and the Inter squad with Adriano when he was good, and Wesley Sneijder. And it's different times, isn't it?
European football, I mean, particularly this season, I think has dropped. I mean, I've always, in the last few years, my mindset's been there are 2 teams that can beat City, and it's been Liverpool or Real Madrid. And Real Madrid, they dealt with, and you've been miles off it this season. So I didn't feel there was any real challenger. And once they dealt with Madrid handily in the semi, Inter made a game of it. They made it difficult. But City can deal with that. It looked to worry, but City always get their way out of those games as well as the games where they smash. So it's, we just have to accept it. It's the world we live in at the minute.
I know. I'm really worried as well, though, because I feel like now they've won one, I don't think it will be the only one. And I think there's certain clubs who we would have put favourites, like your Real Madrid. I think they're in transition now, because obviously we've got an aging squad. Luka Modric, obviously. I think Bayern Munich just don't know what they're doing. Tuchel is a bit here and there at the minute, isn't he? PSG, they're not like they were. Obviously, they've lost Lionel Messi now. So I do think the ones that we would put there in the Champions League, I think they will struggle. So I think Man City now, I think they could be quite dominant the next few years.
I totally agree. Because I mean, if you look at this season, this was Man City's season, because in the Premier League, Arsenal gave them the Premier League.
Yeah.
Arsenal just bottled it. Liverpool had a dreadful season. Spurs had a bad season. Man United had a weirdest season, I think, of any team in the Premier League. I've been doing review videos on TikTok, which I will continue at some point, but I'm looking at Man United season and thinking, is this the same Man United that had Ronaldo at the start of the season?
We've had a decade in a season. Yeah, it's very different.
Yeah, it's mental. So and Chelsea, let's be honest, Chelsea finishing outside the top 10 is mental. So all the teams that would be challenging ordinarily haven't been there in the Premier League. And in Europe, like you said, Bayern Munich nearly threw away the German league, which is mental to say. I mean, Juventus have been up and down. Inter Milan and AC Milan are not good teams.
It was only really Napoli, weren't they? Napoli was obviously a shock to us all because they did all right, didn't they? And then they came off obviously in the league.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This is the season that everything comes together, and it does. It takes luck always. Man United's treble took luck for that to happen, but it does. Every big thing, you need luck on your side. You need that quality to see it 100%. Through. So this was their season. This was it. And like people said, they haven't had the best season, but they've rode their luck through, and it will be what happens next season. I do think, like you said, I think Pep's a quality coach, and he's coached them players to know what to do and to be better. Jack Grealish is a better player now than he was when he joined Man City. Raheem Sterling was a better player when he left. He's a better player in the middle of his Man City career than when he joined. And so Pep's a quality coach, but I think tactically, I think that's where he lacks is tactically. He's not.
He just overthinks too much.
Yeah.
He just overthinks too much, especially in the finals. And I think that was his problem. And I think, obviously, he made a mistake this time. Like we said about the De Bruyne injury, that didn't help. But like we said, tactically and stuff, he could have made a mistake. Luckily, it went in his favour because Lukaku came on. I feel like I'm bashing him.
I wonder if the players felt it a bit, because you could see how much Pep wanted it. Yeah. Every interview he's been asked for years has been, "You're here for the Champions League. You're here for and he'd butt it down." But I mean, he turned up in a suit. He turned up to the FA Cup final in a hoodie. He was like, "No, this is the one we need." And I just feel whether that maybe translated a bit. But as you said, now they've got over that hurdle, and it's a final. No matter how good you are, no matter how much money it costs, the pressure of it. It's a Champions League final. We've seen funny things happen to funny teams in finals. So. They've got over that line, and you just wonder what happens now, because they're not going to do nothing in the summer either. But they're also, what the club I think have actually done very well is the movement of players. When they get players to the end of their career, they sell players at exactly the right time. There's kind of none of that. You think even Gundogan might go, and we go, "What are you getting rid of Gundogan?" But we thought the same with Yaya Toure. We thought the same with Sterling a little bit, and one or two others. They just kind of get that point right, and then next thing we know, someone else will come in. He'll change it up slightly just to keep them on their toes, and there'll be a juggernaut again. But our only hope is they're now bored for 6 months, and someone can have But that's what happened last season, and then Arsenal ran out of gas.
Is it bad as well? I was kind of hoping now if we won a treble, Pep would think, "Do you know what? I've done my job here. I'm off."
Yeah, he said 2025, isn't he? How long's that?
I know. Why don't you just piss off? I'm just, I don't know. I mean, but it will be a different season next season, because obviously Liverpool allegedly are going to invest. Who knows? And let's be fair, our form towards the end of the season was much better. Apparently, Poch is the greatest manager known to man, according to some. So he, in theory, should do stuff at Chelsea.
They aren't in Europe, though, so I think that could help them in the Premier League. They haven't got Europe to think about.
I mean, you look at, I think, was it Arsenal who were out of Europe for a season? They had a much better season while they were out and rebuilt. Arsenal will be there again. You'd like to think Spurs are going to be a little bit better.
United.
United 100% were better. Newcastle. So it's going to be a harder league season next season. Also, I think they're going to have to be how they were when Liverpool were pressing them consistently. That's the Man City they're going to have to be, and it's whether they're going to be able to do that, because like De Bruyne he's struggling now, isn't he? De Bruyne is.
Well, you wonder, don't you? He's had a couple of big injuries lately, and he is. Whether they're starting to think about him next season or two might be a big one for we getting towards the end of Kevin De Bruyne now. But
I think. Isn't Bernardo like
Bernardo
on
Silva
his way as well? He's not sure whether he's going to stay or go. There's a lot of the midfielders, isn't there?
Start of the season,
Yeah.
Bernardo Silva was touch and go, wasn't he? There was huge rumours with him. So
At least quality, isn't he?
There is quality.
So that's what we're hoping for, people, is that all of their players leave. that's what. But I think it'll be a harder season. I think it will be a harder Premier League season. I think Europe's going to be the same though. Europe's going to be pretty easy. He's Stinky in the chat. He says, "City, let's go." We're coming to the end of praising City. That's worn us all out. Is praising, but Martin's joined us as well. Hello, Martin. Chris reckons that the Real are going to be back. And he's also made a good point. Ancelotti's as good a coach as Pep. I would say he's a good manager. I think he's a better manager than Pep is. Ancelotti.
He's a good manager. He's suing Everton, I saw today, actually. Ancelotti.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a man that's busy with other things this summer.
Goodness gracious, mate. I mean, Chris is saying City are signing Kovacic, which I have seen.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, considering they got John Stones now as their midfield Rolls Royce and Rodri. What is Kovacic going to do? Is he going to come on for when someone's injured?
What is he going to be there if Gundogan goes? Because they've still got Kevin Phillips. Not Kevin
I was going to say Calvin Phillips.
Calvin Phillips in that midfield as well. You get rid of...
He's never going to play.
He did make me laugh seeing him jump up and down in the celebrations. Oh, yeah, you still play for them. Of course
and Scott
do.
Carson. That's the one that makes me laugh, Scott Carson.
So Scott Carson has won 2 Champions Leagues and he's only played in a game. He's played a game in both campaigns.
I did like him digging the guy out on Twitter that said, "You played in 2," and he went, "Yeah, I played 90 minutes in the quarterfinal. Thank you very much. There's my medals."
So yeah, totally deserves it. But what a man! That is a man that has picked his career right. That is absolutely stupendous. In proper money, winning 2 Champions Leagues, he's won Premier Leagues, he's won FA Cups, he's won all of these titles, and he doesn't even have to get off his ass. That is the job that I would like to have. And I mean, Martin saying so Ancelotti's suing Everton over commercial rights. That is tremendous. And Stinky's saying Villa's doing some big business. I saw they signed Telemans.
Yeah.
Monchi, I didn't see that one. That's a new one on me, but I think, and that turns back to next season. So that's another team we're going to add in this to. Well, Brighton, we forgot. So Man United are going to be better. Liverpool should be better. Newcastle, Chelsea, Spurs aren't going to be better. Sorry, Spurs fans, you're not. You're not going to be better. You're going to be just as bad, if not a little bit worse. You'll sack your manager November, December time. That's what's going to happen with Spurs. Mark it. We'll clip that. That's what's going to happen. And Brighton, Villa, Arsenal.
I think the problem will be that some of them won't be as good. Like this season, we were thinking this team. Some will drop off. And I think the problem is we'll fight amongst ourselves. As soon as there'll be like Man United, Liverpool, we'll be sort of bang on that. We'll be taking chunks out of each other. Arsenal will get involved and we'll all be in City. Will just be sitting away. But I don't know. We all need to come together somehow. It's a bit like the ultimate evil that needs to be taken down. But I did see for the first time United and Liverpool fans banding together over sort of history as if to like, no, we're their historic clubs. And the first, that's when you know we're in trouble because we're holding hands in hand to try and defeat the Megatron.
I know. I did find that. I mean, incidentally, I think he's saying he thinks Brighton's going to lose everyone, although they have people coming through. But we shall see what happens with it. But I agree. It's a bit like it's that cartoon where they put all the rings together.
I was thinking Power Rangers when they get the Megazord
Power Rangers. I'm really showing my age where I put all their rings together. That's like a really old cartoon. I think that is. Ignore that, people. That's like a reference on the 80s. That's my age. But I was the same as you. As soon as people go in. Yeah, but look, we won this back here. They've got no history. I've had a friend of mine today who's a United fan. So what do you think of I don't care. They're just like a no history tin pot club. I was like, oh, so you're hurting then. You're hurting. Because they're making their history. Their history started now.
It is now, yeah. This is their time.
Do you know what we all need to hope? What we all need to hope is that we move away from oil and we start using nitrogen and and electric cars. They'll be knackered then. There'll be no money in Qatar because oil will be worthless. No one will use it, and then they'll pull out. Then
they'll have to sell Haaland to Forest Green because they'll be absolutely raking it in.
Exactly. I mean, and Chris is saying in the summer United's changes, Mason Mount's going to Chelsea allegedly, but they want 80 million. Martin say what we're all thinking. Chelsea are deluded if they think they're getting 80 million for Mount, but he's apologising to you, Charlotte.
No, I'm saying nothing. I'm saying nothing.
Well, Heather said she'd pay it if she had it. Yeah, you're welcome to that. But yeah, so that is the great evil that is Man City. But in summary, well done, Man City. You played a typical team in the big final that were pooing themselves, but somehow persevered and come up with the result at the end. But throughout the tournament, you smashed everyone. Well done, Pep. We salute you. No, we don't really. But a team,
I'm not doing it.
No, a team I'm sure there is a team I'm sure we are all happy for. And is there anything else before we move on? No, we're definitely moving on. West Ham and David Moyes and David Moyes' dad. The Europa Conference League. Anybody that thinks it's a tin pot tournament, you're wrong. Every European tournament is worth something. Well done, David Moyes. Charlotte, how did that game make you feel?
I was really happy for him, to be fair, because obviously David Moyes, the fan base has been quite divided recently. They've had some tough times, haven't they, this season? A few of them were calling for him to go, but obviously they've stuck with him, which is fantastic. And they've won a trophy now. Declan Rice as well. He's been linked with a few clubs, hasn't he? But he's saying at the minute that he's still with West Ham and stuff. But I don't know. I don't see it.
I know. I did see that.
I know. But the game as a whole, I thought, again, it was quite scrappy. I think most of the games I've seen in Europe have been quite scrappy. I'm glad for Jared Bowen as well, because he's not been the best as of this season as well. He's had a lot of things like happening. It's just not been on form as he has been previous seasons. But for him to score that goal once he went on that run, I thought he's scoring here. There's not a chance he's missing this. But yeah, I think they've done great, West Ham. I don't know if that has been the kind of downfall in the Premier League because they've done so well in Europe. But they've got a trophy. Can't really argue. Can you? Survive relegation, got a trophy.
I mean, and Chris is saying it's a fitting way for Rice to leave. And that he thought it was lovely for Moyes and his dad. Martin in the chat as well. Incidentally, for all of our audio listeners on Spotify, Amazon Music, all of that jazz, you can watch us live on Mondays at 8 p.m. on YouTube and be part of the conversation. Mark saying he's happy for Moyes. He deserves better than he got treated at United. Lisa was more excited watching West Ham than City winning the treble. I think everybody was, as Heather confirms. And on the subject of Rice, this is just disgraceful talk here from Heather. Mount and Rice would be the dream. Is that a midfield duo, or is there another implication there?
I'm a chicken and rice guy, if I'm honest. Chicken and rice, anything, bit of sauce on it, whatever, that'll be happy.
Martin said as well, he believes that Rice to Arsenal is almost done.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
But he told the fans that he's staying. Some fans saw it. He's like, no, I'm staying at West Ham. And his agent was probably going, what a dick. A dick.
Yeah. Until the train arrives, I'm staying at West Ham.
Yeah, let's do the bus and then we'll go. And Chris likes the Jared Bowen song, which I don't think that's appropriate for us to sing live.
Do you know what made me laugh though? Did you see that video of David Moyes singing it, and then the realization kicked in? He was singing and dancing to it, and then he realized what they were saying, and he just stopped and walked away. It was so funny. Did
you see Moyes dancing in the dressing room as well after the game? Did you see that video?
Yeah.
That is lovely. That is lovely. And Mr. Luke in the chat, up the heat. I'm assuming that's Gateshead, judging by his logo. Were they there? I didn't think they were there, were they? But yes, indeed, Gateshead. They were Newcastle way, aren't they? Is that Gateshead, Newcastle?
I think
North?
So, yeah. It's a long way from me. I think so.
Yeah, I agree. But I thought that goal he scored at the end, though, wasn't that lovely? I mean, Sam, how did that one make you feel when that went in?
Oh, I was so pleased for West Ham. They're just, you sort of have some clubs where they're difficult when they play against and they hate you, because I support a club that everybody hates, but I don't share it the same way back. And I just think they're just a fan base that have kind of have earned it. They deserve it. And I don't know what you felt. Obviously, Josh, you and we interviewed Mr. Ross Budden, didn't we, from the West Ham Network? And to see him in floods of tears in his live stream when it was coming, it was just so much to see like the passion for your club just come through, all come into that moment.
No.
Yeah, well, I was really happy for him. I was hoping they were going to do it, and something that they'll never forget. And so David Moyes as well has had a turbulent managerial time for the last decade or so. And I was there for his last trophy, the Community Shield of 2013. So it's nice to see him move on from that period finally and get a trophy behind him. So well done, West Ham.
Did you think, I'm not sure if you saw this, but one of the owners, I want to say Sullivan, is it David Sullivan? I tried to tread really carefully. Is that the right one?
Yeah, David Gold passed away.
I knew one of them. I wasn't sure, but he did an interview like the day after where he basically said Moyes has played his last game for the team. He also said Moyes is going to honour his contract. We're going to support him as he wants, and he can be here as long as he wants. Is that surely that's just a little bit of
that's the champagne talking, isn't it?
Yeah. We've just won a cup. He can be here forever. Yeah. That was a bit premature. Do you not think?
Wasn't it? Who was the guy who gave out a 15-year contract a little while back to a manager? It's something like that, isn't it?
Alan Pardew.
Pardew Part 2 or something. Yeah, I think that's a bit.
It was a little bit reactionary, but I thought it was lovely. I think it's really nice. I mean, because it's not just a domestic cup, which it's hard to win the domestic cups at the moment because Pep goes for everything. And then other teams like United and Chelsea and that, they need something because they're struggling to win the league. So they really go for it now, which didn't happen in the past. The domestic trophies are hard and hard, but on a European Cup, I think that's magic, and that was really good. And I legitimately say, well done, West Ham. This is no force. I'm not having to force myself to this. I was really chuffed a bit. I was chuffed for David Moyes. He dances the same as me. We've got the same dance moves. I was a bit annoyed. I was going to ring him up and sue him for commercial rights infringement on his dad dancing. But it was really lovely, and it's nice to see two English teams winning a European trophy. And as Chris has just said, it also means that West Ham are in the Europa League as well now next season.
There we go. More good news. 2 for England. Zero for
teams.
Italy, though. 0 for Italy. Italy have had a shocking run of European finals, haven't they? Having reached the top table again.
I did see, I was listening to an Italian sports commentator, and he was saying how, for Inter, this is it now. We've declared ourselves on the big stage. And at first, I giggled because I thought, you just lost the Champions League final. That's you. We're here. Look at us. We've arrived. We're the losers. But actually, I do think the way that they played the game, and that's what he went on to say, the way that they played the game, the tactics, they could have won that. And that was more their game than anything else. So, that was nice. But, they're not winning. And they're struggling. PSG, they're never going to do anything. There's some teams that just never going to win anything. But there was another European Cup final, which all of us know loads about. We've all done loads of research on this game. Sevilla won, Roma won. Jose Mourinho didn't win a European Cup this time. He lost to Sevilla on penalties. And as our resident Sevilla fan, Sam, how did that one make you feel?
Viva la Sevilla. The retirement home has had a party and a half, I can tell you that. The trophy cabinet has had to be cleaned because there's a big old Europa League trophy that's come back to go with the other 49 million that they've won over the past decade and a half. I mean, I've never seen such a team just be so good and such a, we've obviously had Real Madrid and teams winning. They've won, is it 7 they've won now or something bonkers Europa League? It's just, they're just unbeatable. They're just a force of nature in the Europa League.
They love it.
It is. Just call it the Europa Seville, I reckon.
Well, they just call it Sevilla League.
Yeah.
Sevilla League. Oh.
Yeah, you're all just taking part in our league.
It's the guy, and it's the thing is it's not like there's a dynasty. You know, they had Emery there for a bit, didn't they? And it was all Emery and all the rest of it, and Lopetegui at the start of the season. It's different managers. And they were struggling. You know, when Lopetegui went earlier in the season, or we were saying on it on the pod, they were in relegation threat. They were all over the place. They were struggling to pieces. There was. Obviously, they beat Manchester United on the way. I watched both legs. They were dreadful at points in the first leg. We should have absolutely battered the life out of them and gone. Then we went over there, and it was like they flipped a switch, and it was the Sevilla of old when the lights were on and everything was on the line. It's just there. It's just there. They should be like the ultimate boss at the end of a game, even if they're not in the Europa League. If you win the Europa League, you then have to go on and beat Sevilla because it's their trophy. That should be the rules.
Well, I'm just reading up some points on here. So on that game, Sevilla, they have won 7. They've won every final they've competed in, and 4 more than any other side has ever won that trophy. Because it is a hard one to win. That is a hard league because it's really long. It's a really, really long one. And then you get the Champions League teams drop down into as well. Other interesting point, Roma. So Jose Mourinho, it was the very first time he hasn't won a final in a European Cup.
Oh,
Wow.
First time he hasn't won a European final.
happens to us all eventually.
I know.
So for everybody that says, he's not a very good manager, if you want to win stuff, Tottenham, you don't sack him before the final.
Exactly.
No. I love the fact that even they got a mention in his press conference for the final.
I know.
It's nothing to do with Tottenham. He's like, just going to drop that there. Thank you very much.
I know.
Speaking of Tottenham, our All About Spurs episode.
It is.
Why did you tell us about that, guys?
Yeah, sure. Tell us all about Spurs episode.
Yeah, you can catch our All About Spurs episode on our YouTube channel. It was a really good chat, wasn't it? The highs and the lows of Spurs all through the years, from the Harry Redknapp era right till now.
It was very good.
Watch.
And we won't spoil it, but you have to see where Harry Kane goes. You may have seen the short, or if you haven't, but it's a hell of a transfer coming up for Harry
really
Kane.
is.
That's all we'll say.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I was going to say, when you said the highs and lows of Spurs, I thought, Christ, you must have gone back a while, but you did.
We did. We had to.
You did indeed. But yeah, I mean, that was sad. It was sad to watch Jose having his proper meltdown and pulling out Anthony Taylor, which just unnecessary. You just when you're losing a final, just take it. Just take it and walk away. Especially when you've not really got a leg to stand on.
It was all a bit unnecessary, wasn't it? The airport stuff was just
Yeah.
It's not good. Behave yourself. But going back to West Ham quickly, because we're going to catch up with the chat. So, Mr. Luke, either you're behind us live, or something's happened. But your comments just popped up. You said, would you say West Ham's UEFA Conference League run affected them in the league? What do you think, Shah? I can see you already reacting.
100%. Yeah, I mentioned it before. I think that massively affected him. And I think some of the teams who have been in Europe recently have, like obviously Leicester were in it not that long ago, weren't they? Were they in the Conference League? Last year? Was it last year or a couple of seasons ago?
So.
I'm sure.
They did, yeah. They dropped Europa than them. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
I just feel like for teams who have obviously get in there, who've obviously had the struggles and get to Europe, I think that takes a toll on their season. Obviously, Everton's
as well.
Wolves,
Everton, Wolves, Burnley when they were up before as well. It does.
Yeah.
It's hard for those teams to manage with their squads. And Thursday, Sunday, it's a real difficult one, and you can't not take your eye off the ball and try and manage both.
And it's not just Thursday, Sunday; it's the travelling as well. That is the long. But if you don't do a lot of travelling, I mean, I've done a lot of travelling in my jobs in the UK, travelling, but I was still knocking off 1,000 miles a week easy. That takes it out to you. And when your job is physical, when you're a footballer and you need to be in tip-top shape, sitting on your ass, travelling, who knows where, getting there whatever time you get there, waking up whatever time you have to wake up to get all that preparation, that takes out of you. And I think what we have in England, which the other leagues don't have, is so many games.
Yeah.
Double headers in the domestic cups and all of that jazz. That's a lot of cups. I mean, most leagues don't have the same amount of games that we have. In
some of the leagues I saw as well, they're cutting back their matches as well. The French league is going from 20 to 18 teams next season to cut back again to try and we're going the other way.
Are they taking PSG out to make it more competitive? Have they seen the pod and said that looks like a really good idea? That makes the league look amazing when PSG out there.
PSG A team plays the B team every week, and everybody else has their own league.
I think that sounds awesome. I mean, and Chris agrees it was last year that Leicester were in there, and he also agrees that Taylor had a decent game. I thought he did have a decent game, and he thinks Liverpool are going to enjoy the Thursday Sunday. We might do, and we might win a cup again, because that's what we do. We just win things. We win all these trophies, and we get to all these finals. Check the history books of the last couple of years. Woohoo! I'm going to be holding on to that. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see. Did anybody say what they thought Liverpool were going to do next season last week?
We haven't done next.
Watch the pod. Watch the pod.
What's the pod?
I know
what you're doing.
I catching up. I think I'm about 10 minutes in.
Well, I'm hoping I might be able to put it. I'm hoping to do a clip together that makes it a little bit easier if people want to track and just look at their team. So hopefully that'll be. Oh,
that's an idea. He's full of ideas, that man. He's full of ideas, that man.
Sam, do all of them apart from Liverpool, so he has to find his way to Liverpool by watching the pod.
I've got to be honest.
I'm going to do Liverpool. It's just going to cut to Sharga, no, and then just move over to Man City.
That's the thing that unnerves me. That's why I'm a little bit apprehensive about watching it, because it'll just hurt my heart. Just to see my team just getting trashed by Charlotte.
I think we were fair. If Lucas is fair, he'd never go in.
It was Lucas, yeah. I don't think I did it.
Oh, well, as long as it's not you, then that's fine. Yeah, well, my nervousness is gone now.
He'll watch it now.
Chris is it's in alphabetical order. So if you want to know what your team was reviewed by the guys, check it out. It's in alphabetical order, and maybe we'll do a preview episode as well. Who knows? That'll be interesting. But I think so. We've covered the 3 games here. I mean, something that has happened, which I thought would be nice to touch on. Claudio Ranieri sacked last season by Watford, like everyone else's. 71 years of age, and the team that he managed, which is it Cagliari? No, it wasn't Cagliari. Is it Cagliari? I can't remember now. I did tweet it in. I'm double checking myself because I want to get it.
Cagliari, yeah.
Yeah, so he got them promoted. He got them promoted on the last day. He won in their playoffs, the equivalent of the players that they have. He's there in tears. He's a very emotional man. But I think that is just lovely. That is just lovely for Claudio.
It was epic as well. They were 2-0 down after 67 minutes, I think. So it was a 3-goal comeback to get. Oh, yeah, that final whistle, and he's just in absolute. Oh, it's just emotional just looking at him. The Italian Roy Hodgson, I reckon he is.
How good is he?
That's amazing. The comparison. That is. I just thought it's what a career that guy's had. Probably, to be fair, a pretty underrated manager that gets crapped on all the time. All the time. He's getting sacked by Leicester, sacked by Chelsea. Do well. Nah, bum him out. We don't want Claudio anymore.
He was one of the 700 at Watford as well. I mean, Watford treated him with disrespect as well. So good for him.
Yeah, and that's lovely. I think that is a lovely story. But I think we've covered most things off. Over the next couple of pods, I think we're going to start filling in with a bit of transfer. We'll have a transfer gossip. We might even start some transfer rumours. Just because, and the things that really wind people up is obviously saying negative things or things that are wonderful about Man City. So we'll do some Man City transfer rumours. We'll just start them randomly, pick a player, and we'll tell everyone that's who they're going to be signing. But before we go, Sam has a lovely little tidbit for us.
Yeah, a little tidbit. We thought, why not? As it's the end of the season, I thought, why not? There's been some classic football quotes from the season, and I thought I've got about 8, I think, here. So I'll read them out, and you guys can have a little guess who you think. Some are easier than others, and some I hadn't even heard, to be honest, but they're funny, so I've put them in. So you might not get who they are. We'll see who they are. So first off, I think this is probably the easiest one. There's nobody ahead of me in football terms. Not Pep, not Klopp, not Arteta. Who said that this season? Whose quote was that?
I know. Is it Sam Allardyce?
It is indeed big
Yeah.
Sam Allardyce making a storm in his first press conference.
In fairness, I think he was referring to experience. He needs to think of the words he's saying.
He did go all out, didn't he? He did go all out.
And of course, he proved it.
He did. He proved it because he got a big payout for a draw. A draw
I
and
know.
3 losses. Well done.
It got him out the house. Got him out the house.
Gave him something to do. There we go. Lovely for Big Sam. So on to the next one. Next big quote of the season. I want to be the best version of me. I could have stayed in a mining community, been a PE teacher and had a nice life. Married a nice Welsh girl. Beautiful. But I don't. I want to test myself on every level. And that's nothing against Welsh women. I want to test myself. Who said that?
I'm going to say that
No.
That sounds like my life.
PE teacher.
Well, well, maybe take the PE out. Take the PE away.
I'm an educational teacher. No, it wasn't you. I can confirm it wasn't you.
It was Nathan Jones.
It was Nathan Jones, correct? Yeah, in his final pre-match press conference. One of many good quotes.
That was just mental, weren't it? That appointment. Yeah. It was
because you want to slag off Welsh women in a football conference.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely. On top of already going at the fans and everybody else.
It did Luton the world a good though, didn't it? Because they obviously got a new manager and now look at him.
It did, yeah. I don't think Nathan Jones is going to be getting the Swansea job anytime soon.
And he wants to hope that his marriage never collapses because he'd be in a world of trouble going back home then, wouldn't he?
He would indeed. So next quotation here is, it's a short one, this one. I lost 2 hours, 3 hours with him. That's the quote.
You lost 2 hours, 3 hours with him?
Yeah.
So somebody with a man.
Yeah, I'll give you a clue. It's somebody who is quite often in trouble with referees, managerially.
Is that Jurgen then?
No.
Arteta?
Not. It was Robert De Zerbi. And that was his discussion after he had a meeting with chief referee Howard Webb. I lost 2 to 3 hours. It was a complete waste of my time.
Can't argue with that though.
I know, so, fair play.
He took a lot from that. So next, I think you might well get this one as well. But why? Because they are used to it here. They are used to it. They don't play for something important. Yeah,
I know.
They don't want to play under pressure. They don't want to play under stress. Potentially the rant of the season.
I think we're in agreement here, aren't we, Josh?
I wouldn't even need to know the manager. I just know what team they're talking about just from them quotes.
Is it Conte?
It is indeed Antonio Conte. That was just a clip from his 3,000 words. Otherwise, this segment would be a lot longer.
It was right, though, weren't it? Everything he said, he was so right.
Do you know that should be in like Tottenham's Twitter bio? That's because it just describes the club.
A quote on the wall. A quote. You know, like you get them nice quotes to put on your living room wall.
you go on there about us on their website. A team that doesn't like to play under pressure or win things or succeed.
Love it.
Antonio Conte, 2013, 2023 even. Probably said it in 2013 as well, to be fair. So next up, and I hadn't heard this one before, but it was a good one, so I'll put it in. You are not pregnant, or you are not pregnant. Until we are pregnant, we are not pregnant. Again, a Premier League manager this season.
I feel like I know it, and I don't want to get it wrong, but is it Klopp?
It's not Klopp, no.
I want to say Arteta.
No, you are pregnant or you are not pregnant. Until we are pregnant, we are not pregnant.
I know it, and it's doing me head in.
Let me have a guess. Don't tell us yet. Don't tell us yet. Who says mental?
Oh, Pep.
No,
Is it
no,
Pep?
not Pep, no.
This is annoying because I feel like I know it.
I think you're thinking the wrong end of the table.
Oh.
Oh, please let it be Daishi.
Dice was not talking about impregnation of any kind.
Well, not pregnant until you're pregnant. And when you're pregnant, you're not pregnant. And then when you're pregnant, you'll be pregnant. When you're pregnant, you fucking know you're pregnant.
You
I'll
know
tell
you're
you when you're pregnant.
Yeah.
You're
When
like
I
an
make you
over-
pregnant, you'll know you're pregnant.
Take that jacket off, it's snowing outside. No, it wasn't Sean Dyche. It was Julian Lopetegui of Wolves, who was, of course, talking about you're not safe from relegation until it's mathematically confirmed.
Oh, he did, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
There you go. Working on his English. Learn by doing. Learn by doing.
Well, it's the same thing as being pregnant. You learn it by doing it.
The Dodge motto.
Yeah, you're going to be in it to win it.
Yeah. Now go and give me some laps. Oh, dear.
In it to win it.
In it to win it.
Pregnant.
Oh man, I love it.
You're not pregnant until you're pregnant. When you're pregnant, then you're pregnant. But until you're pregnant, you're not pregnant. In it.
It was not Sean Dyche, but probably we're all going to remember it that it was.
God, you have to do them all now. Sam, you have to read them all out as Dyche.
Oh dear. Next up, he wants to be seen as a football player, and that's rightly so, because he has played 9,000 games or so. Who is it, and who are they talking about?
Is it Eric Ten Hag about Ronaldo?
No, not correct. He wants to
he
be
doesn't
seen
wanna-
as a football player, and that's rightly so, because he's played 9,000 games or so.
Is it about Phil Jones?
He's not played 9,000 games. He's not been through the training ground in 9,000 days.
Has he played 9 games?
Oh,
I've got no idea, you know. Who could that be about?
Who could it be about?
I'm thinking of somebody having a sulk, see? A play a whinging. That's the vibe I'm getting.
No, we'll have a look. Is
Lisa
anybody-
said Xavi.
it's not Xavi. No, it is definitely Premier League. Definitely Premier League. And I'm going to tell you, Josh, you're going to kick yourself. It's Jurgen Klopp about James Millie Milner when he was giving his eulogy.
That sounds like a whinging quote, though. That does.
He wants to be seen as a football player, and that's rightly so because he's played 9,000 games or so. Yeah.
I'd say you should have said he wants to be seen as a bloody legend, because he is a bloody legend because he's played 9,000. He's actually played in 9,000 different positions on the pitch as well.
Yes, he has indeed. That was James Millie Milner. So 2 to go. 2 quotes to go.
I'm enjoying these. These are really good.
We managed to come up with some more of these for next week. They are sticking with that Almiron guy who is championship quality at best. I'm not having it.
Lucas.
It was Lucas. On our very, very first podcast I went back to today. He was talking about, I think Almiron had just scored his first goal or something. They are sticking with the Almiron guy who's championship quality at best. I'm not having it, he said.
He hates it.
He does. If I've got time, I'm going to have to put a compilation together with all the predictions. And this last one, I hadn't heard this last one, but it's brilliant. It's utterly, utterly brilliant. I was so happy when I heard it was his car. He's really tight with money as well, so I was happy he had to spend some. It was a really nice day for me.
What was that?
You
Was
could have
that
said that.
Josh?
No, that wasn't true.
Say Josh.
No.
I am. No, you could be talking about me. Really tight with money and a footballer. That's
He says,
weird, isn't it?
is someone talking about it? So I was so happy when I heard it was his car. He's really tight with money as well. So I was happy he had to spend some. It was a really nice day for me. The story that goes with this is gold. The story's better than the quote.
I'm trying to remember. I saw something about some footballer who's really tight in a really like standard car. I can't remember who it is though, but that's probably not even what you're talking about.
No, it's not. No.
I don't know. I don't know this, Shah.
I'm not sure.
No guesses. It is a certain Serbian striker who had a ridiculous ban earlier on this season, Alexander Mitrovic.
No way.
Yeah, I
Mitrovic.
remember. Didn't he
And
write it off or something?
No, the story is Alexander Mitrovic skied a shot at training into the car park and it landed on Tom Kearney's car and smashed the windscreen. But the best bit was Mitrovic posted a selfie on the group chat and refused to pay for any repairs.
I love Mitrovic.
Wasn't he done for speeding?
Probably as well.
Yeah, he just don't care, does he?
No.
That is bad. I've enjoyed that, Sam. Do more. Find some more. Come on. We got another 15 minutes at least.
I'll try and find some more for next week for sure.
Next week. We'll have to wait.
Want to keep you on your tenterhooks. Keep the viewers wanting more.
But you know what? After spending time on this podcast with you guys, I'm always left wanting more. I can never ever get enough of Sam and Charlotte, as I'm sure you can all agree. And Sam, for the people that can't get enough of you, where do they find you?
Where can you find me? I am up the FN Ducks on all the socials, so Twitter mostly, some stuff on TikTok, and my website upthefnducks.com, which I'm trying to expand with more football things when I have time, but I also need to sleep, so it's taking some time. But yes, up the FN Ducks everywhere.
Oh, and Charlotte, of course, everybody wants to find you. Some people to say nice things, some people to be jerks. But where are you? For the nice people, where are you?
I'm SharXRAFC, and that's on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. My Rochdale Her Game 2 is Rochdale HGT. And make sure you check out the content on this channel as well, because we've done quite a lot of all about a club episode, all about a certain person as well, and they're really good. So make sure you watch them.
Oh, stupendous. And if you want to get into a football debate back and forth, it's a discussion. You don't have to be personally abusive. That's fine. I am FMFO_official on Twitter, TikTok, stuff like that. Come and have a chat. We'll have a lovely, lovely chat. You can disagree with me. That's fine. I thoroughly embrace that. But of course, what you really want to do, you really want to be following this podcast at Absolute Ball Pod on Twitter, Absolute Football Pod on TikTok, and Absolute Football Podcast _ on Instagram. You want to follow all of that, but just type in Absolute Football Podcast into Google and we appear. We're there and you'll love it. It'll be wonderful. But what else we've loved? We've loved all of you being here with us. So thank you, everybody that have been with us. You have been wonderful. You're always wonderful. Sam, you're always wonderful. Charlotte's always wonderful. Thank you very much. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And on that wonderful note, we'll see you next week. Don't forget on Thursday to check out All About Spurs Thursday.
No, it's already on the channel. Yeah.
Which one is it on Thursday?
On Thursday, there might be the clip video. I don't know. Depends what we're going to do. We might have Luton. Luton might be next week. There might be Luton next week. That's the one to watch out for. But yeah,
well, make sure
Thursday's
you do watch the All About Spurs. But make sure you do watch the All About Spurs, because I've seen clips and snippets of it, and it's with what's his actual name? Hold My Hind.
Hold My Hind. Billy. Yes, Billy. Hold My Hind is his
very big on TikTok. Very big on TikTok. Make sure you check it out. So make sure you check us out. They check us all out. Thank you for being here. Keep the eye on the channel on Thursday. It's a surprise. And make sure that you're back with us next Monday at 8 p.m. Thank you very much. We love you all. Mwah. Have a lovely evening. Tatty bye.